Hey, what hell? Welcome to Monday. Welcome to Countdown Day. And of course, this week as voted on by fans, we're going to be looking at the results of the most overhyped Transformers that underdelivered, right? These are the ones that they were hyped up a lot, fans were excited for them, couldn't wait to get them, but in the end, when they were released, they underdelivered. If you happen to hear Starscream wipe off to the side sneezing, she always does it in 3 or 4. Bless you.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. We just roll with the punches around here, right? So, overhyped, underdelivering Transformers. That's our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey, one hail, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe. And while you're at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. And I'll let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Okay, so we have a lot of votes. I will tell you now, number one was the clear winner, like by a very, very huge, gigantic, wide margin when we get there. But from 2 onward, it was very close races. Really, really close. As a matter of fact, we almost have 2 top 10 lists here because we actually have, get this, 10 honorable mentions, and these honorable mentions all had the exact same number of votes. They did not make the list. So let's go through those very, very quickly. They include Legacy Beachcomber. A lot of people said wasn't that much different from the Power of the Primes one. Victory Saber, because there had been so many QC issues with that release. The Roboson Optimus Prime, because after you've seen it transform a couple of times, that's pretty much it. That's what it does, right? Steelbane, right? The last night Steelbane, because he was just so loosey-goosey and looked nice, but man, bad QC. Kingdom Tracks, I love it, but a lot of people got problems with the legs on that guy. The Throne of the Primes, Optimus Primal from Power of the Primes, it was the only way you could get all 13 Primes, because there was an exclusive one in there. I think the throne itself was like cardboard, and then all you were getting was the Optimal Optimus mold, but in Optimus Primal colors. And a lot of people said, I don't need the Optimal Optimus mold twice, and I certainly don't need it in Primal colors. So a lot of people were like, that was just a weird release that we really didn't need to have happen. The only reason I bought it was because I wanted the 13th Titan Master, or Prime Master. Titans Return Galvatron, again because of the terrible head on it, and you know, the way the particle cannon like hindered the arm articulation, and you had to like get a plug that could plug it on the side of his arm and stuff. Like, there was just a lot of mess with it. A lot of people said, look, why did he have a plane mode? It was a lot of issues. I think that he was overhyped and underdelivered because when people heard Galvatron, remember, the last one they had before that was that terrible Deluxe Universe one. So they were really hoping for something better than what they got. Didn't get that one, because I had Mania King, but I understand it. Fall of Cybertron Bruticus. Look, I had that. I still have, well, that's lie, I don't have it. My son has it. And I get it. He looks like Skittlesy colors, what everybody used to say, because a lot of the colors are very off, and doing Onslaught as a deluxe torso, that was a bad call. I've heard that he was supposed to be a Voyager, but that just didn't happen. It became a deluxe, cost-cutting because of a bad economy at the time, and that Bruticus really, really did suffer for it. The next one is Power of the Primes Rodimus. That thing's a disaster. I think the Rodimus Unicronus worked better. I've talked about it before. I didn't like anything about it. I even tried to improve the articulation on the Hot Rod and ended up cutting away so much that the 2 halves of the body came apart. They still hold together, luckily, because of a lot of points where pegs in. But when we get to the combined Rodimus, the proportions are weird. The shoulders don't really work. It doesn't really look like Rodimus. It just wasn't a great offering. And the last one that was overhyped and underdelivered was apparently MP44 Optimus Prime. Looks great, but hard to argue with something that has crumbling knees that costs, what was it, $450 US? I think it was like $5.99 Canadian or something. I'm sorry, Optimus. You're great now, but you ain't worth no $700. All of those honorable mentions, none of them made the list. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to do as we always do, and we're going to kick things off with number 10 first. So did you like that? I've done something just a little bit different there to lead in. Normally I do 10, and then I do first. And I just tried something a little bit different, just for a change. Why not? Number 10, this one sort of baffles me. I can't believe it's on the list, but it's this guy. Yeah, it is the HasLab Deathsaurus. I don't understand. The people who voted for this said, one guy said he was too heavy.
He's so cool.
He's so cool, right? Starscream Wife even thinks he's cool. One guy said he's too heavy. When I done the review of him, everything included, not just Deathsaurus, but everything, the throne, all of it, clocks in at 1,250 grams. He needed to be that mass to justify the price. That's the correct mass. So too heavy, I don't understand. Other people that voted for him, I asked why, and some people said he was too expensive. But if you do the math, watch my review, I do the math because I analyze the value of things. The math actually works for this guy. But it only works if you had the entire package of everything, right? It wouldn't work just for the base. But that was it. People said overpriced and people said way too much. I don't know. I'm baffled. I love this guy. And you know what? To my shock and surprise, the math makes sense for him. Oh, and some people did say this, and I guess I can understand it. They said, look, when you pull out the arm and the way the wing goes and the way that they clip in, you know, the arm comes down like clips in here on the side of the leg, and like that's very small clips. I get it, and I understand why some people might look at that and say, oh, that's a bit of a tenuous way to connect things. As somebody who owns it, who's handled it, I can tell you those are really robust. I've transformed this guy a bunch of times. Starscream Wife can attest to that. And while I initially had that concern, after doing it so many times and pretty much manhandling this guy, he's fallen out of his throne 5 or 6 times. He's as solid as a tack. I have no fear of anything breaking on this guy. And honestly, I find, and I said this in the review too, I find the plastic on this guy literally feels different than other Transformers, and I don't know why. Nevertheless, a lot of fans have a lot of concerns, and Deathsaurus took the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9 for Overhyped, Underdelivered is a Turn. And I don't get this at all. If you saw my best of 2023 review, this guy I believe was number 1. I think that this is splendid. Now, that said, I'm not into IDW. I don't think those comics are worth reading. I don't think they were worth printing, to be honest with you. I think they're just so poorly done. But a lot of people said, Turn, and that is giant and hulking. Is he? I don't know. I have no idea, because the only Turn, honestly, that I know is the one from Cyberverse. And this guy is sleek, cool, slender, but still has bulky arms, still looks like a bruiser, still has a lot of armament, but he has no hollowness. Like, I don't get it. But those that voted for him said, look, I wish his face mask could come off. I don't know why, because I know who he was. He was that Damas guy who I still don't know who that is. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. It's like, it was a popcorn fart of a reveal. It was like, oh, okay, so you're a nobody. Bigger, maybe? But see, here's the thing. I feel like if they tried to do this guy bigger as like a leader class, like I wouldn't have been in for that price point for this. I absolutely wouldn't, because I don't know the character enough or care enough to be in for that price point. But you know what? For a Voyager price point, I was 100% in on it. That said, if this isn't for you, there are other offerings, there are other versions of Tarn that are bigger that might fill the bill. If your disappointment and you felt like he underdelivered because he is too small, that's a fair, I guess, if you're a huge fan of the character. But, you know, I like it. I thought it turned out well. You didn't. You're the voters. You have the say. Who am I to argue? Tarn takes the number 9 slot. Coming in at number 8, we have this offering. That's right. It was the legacy version of Transformers Prime RC. Wow, oh wow, when we heard in the Legacy line that we were going to be getting a number of Transformers Prime characters updated, I, like a lot of people, was very excited. And then RC was revealed, and at first I didn't know who it was. I felt that she was so unrecognizable that I never would have guessed it was RC. I think, though, I would have accepted the body had the head been done to match the animation more. And a lot of voters said, you know what? Honestly, I was really built up for it too, and I just didn't like the head sculpt. Others said they just didn't like the mold. And I get it, because that mold has been real hit or miss. My Road Rocket version was abysmal. A disastrous mess that everything had to be fixed on. But, that being said, the laser cycle version was pretty much flawless in terms of its tolerances. And the aerial version was... Mine's pretty good, but I heard of people having some looseness issues there as well. This is a mold that has a poorly molded head that doesn't match the character and has a lot of tolerance issues. Fans hoped for something better and probably deserved something better, but for that reason, RC is a perfect example of a bot that was overhyped and underdelivered, and she takes the number 8 slot. Coming in at number 7, we have this. That's right, it's Studio Series Devastator. Now, the people who voted for this specifically voted for the combined mode of Devastator. Now, I can't speak for the official. I only looked at the, I think it was like AOA mech, like the KO of the official, which I think is a 1-to-1 ratio, honestly. And you know what? I thought that the vehicle modes of the individual Constructicons were great, and a lot of voters said vehicle modes of the individuals were great. The robot modes, I mean, they're your typical kind of movie live action fodder of being weird designs, and I mean, some of them succeed better than others. Some of the designs were just terrible. But then we get to the meat and bones of this, which is the combined mode. And a lot of people said, you know what, this day and age, this thing looks impressive, but it's not hunched over on all fours like Devastator is in the film. And while you can do it, it's a bit of a chore and a task to do it. Secondly, they said to actually do the combination is kind of a hodgepodge mess, and it's not clean or easy to do. And if you got a alt mode in the end that was indicative of the film completely, then you'd feel rewarded. But when you do it and he's still standing upright when he's supposed to be on all fours, you feel like you put in a lot of effort for little reward. But the biggest gripe that a lot of fans had said, look, he's fine in a static pose, in a static display. But if you want to use him, play with him, animate with him, he really, really has very odd, peculiar, hindered articulation. In this day and age, that's just not good enough. Looks great, looks like $1 million. You know what they say? You know what they say sometimes. Somebody has $1 million body and a 10-cent brain. This is $1 million body, but 10-cent articulation. And for that reason, Studio Series Devastator, according to fans, takes the number 7 slot. Coming in at number 6, we have one that I completely understand, and it's this. That's right, it is the legacy version of Blitzwing, and it's awful. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of people say, it's the best Blitzwing we've gotten, and I love it, and if you do, cool, you win, I suppose. I had this, and I rarely sell anything. Sometimes I do, sometimes I end up with a bunch that I sell. And it's not that I detest this, and I don't even know if the fans detest it, because it does have its good points. In terms of look and capturing the look of the character in robot mode, it does a great job with a really nice deep purple and a nice shade of beige. However, I do find that the visor is too big, and I don't like the red line that goes midway through it. And a lot of fans said that they didn't like that either, and they found it very jarring for a head sculpt. Secondly, I think the tank mode looks pretty splendid for the most part. And a lot of fans agree with that, but then they said, you know what? They basically didn't even bother to engineer anything for the plane mode. It's like a forgotten mode. And when you're paying a leader class price for something that is essentially a Voyager, because even with those idiotic hands included, it's nowhere close to the value that a leader class should be. A lot of people said that they felt like they got taken advantage of. They bought it and they were hyped up for it, and they heard, you know, early adopters saying, this is fantastic. And when they got it themselves and paid that leader class price, they said, you know what? It's really not that good. Not for what I would expect from a leader. Overhyped, underdelivered, and he takes the number 6 slot. And now a hush falls over the crowd because we have reached the ever-coveted, ever-popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark this time, I find this one hilarious because it's, Fort Max. It is Titan's Return Fort Max. And those that voted for him said, I don't like his city mode. I don't like that he still has this hinge left over from Metroplex. I don't like that his legs open up left over from Metroplex. I don't like he didn't come from it with his sword. Though some versions of this guy did come with the sword. This is a 3D printed one from our buddy Grimlock Gone. I don't like that his colors are a little bit different. I don't like that he's missing his hip cannons. Now, while there's add-on kits for all of that, all of those are, I think, legitimate gripes. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this guy, and he's being reissued, and a lot of people that missed him, I highly suggest you get him if you want him. Is he perfect? No, absolutely not. Was it realistic to think that we are going to get all of the features in a modern day Titan that we got in the G1 release? No, certainly not with the added articulation. That's just not how Hasbro does things. While I appreciate all of the gripes, I guess, that people have, I have to say, because of the added hinges and joints, I find that I can do some fan mode transformations, especially to the city base mode, that makes it more indicative of a G1 type of look. Do I wish he had a few more features? Yes. But do I think that he was overhyped and underdelivered? No, because the robot mode is glorious and really fully articulated. I do think he certainly should have had his sword and probably his blaster included. I like the space cruiser ship mode thing. I love Cerebros. And the actual base mode, I've always fan moded that. I've never just done the lying down, doing the splits with his arms out. If you have, my suggestion would be experiment, explore, find a way around it. Stock, if that's all you're going by, if that's what you're voting by, I understand it. I certainly understand it. But personally, I'm glad to have them. I don't get tired of them. And honestly, I like the fact that I can explore because of the extra hinges. That's just me. Fans don't feel that way. In fact, fans thought that this was a weak enough release that he deserved to be on the number 5 slot. Man, coming in at number 4 is a wild one. He's been on a lot of lists lately, and people either adore this or hate this, and it's this guy. That's right, it is the buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series 102 Optimus Prime from Rise of the Beast. And people either love this guy or hate this guy. He was on both the best of 2023 list and the worst of 2023 list. Those who said that he was overhyped and underdelivered, basically, said, look, he has kibble on the legs. He has a finicky transformation. He has little tiny pea shooter blasters. You had to buy an entire other character in order to get his axe. And on top of it all, this was a Studio Series release. This was Optimus Prime from the movie. And what did you do? You made it an exclusive. You basically slapped fans in the face every way that you possibly could with this release. Some even said that, you know what, I just went out and bought the mainline Optimus Prime and called that good enough, because to make the Studio Series 1 correct was just more trouble than it's worth. I can't speak to it. I didn't get that Optimus, but that's what the fans said, and who am I to argue? For those reasons, buzzworthy Bumblebee Optimus Prime takes the number 4 slot. Coming in at number 3, we go all the way back to Siege. Remember Siege? And this guy, Astro Train. Now those that got him either love him or hate him. I know a lot of people that love this mold and say, man, it's a perfect Astro Train. I mean, when you have the train and you have the tinder, it looks great. And that does look great. When you have the spaceship, that looks great. I think it looks acceptable. There's that whole section that's uncovered that a lot of people have gotten 3D printed parts or add-on kits to cover up. Shouldn't have to do that for a leader class price point. And then the robot. The robot is miles too small. It doesn't scale. It doesn't follow the Sunbow chart. It doesn't follow the animation. He should have been a true blue leader. All you really had to do was extend the thighs to make him bigger. Now, some people think he should have been like gigantic, like Commander class. I don't agree with that. But I certainly think he should have been a true blue leader. As a matter of fact, I personally felt like the Titan's Return, Voyager, which is much taller than this one, scaled better. So I actually stuck with the Titan's Return, as imperfect as that mold is as well. I think overall it's a better package. But here's the kicker. This Astro Train clocked in at 200 with everything. The tinder, all the parts, all the pieces clocked in at a measly 282 grams. Far cry off the 325 that a commander or leader class should be. I got him on sale, about $20 cheaper than what he was retailing for, and I still felt like I overpaid. He's a $30, $35 Canadian offering. that was sold for $70. It wasn't there, it didn't land. I got that mold in my collection as Galaxy Shuttle, and I think it works better for him, and I accept it more there, but I still don't like the size because Galaxy Shuttle should also be bigger. This is a case of, I think the engineering was fine. I think the 3 modes are fine. But unfortunately, you cut the amount of mass so much that you compromised the overall delivery of the bot. You compromised the proportions because even in like a sitting down pose, like pretty much the whole of the back of his leg, it covers up his entire thigh. The thighs are too small. The legs are too small. He's too short. He's too stumpy. There's a lot here to like, but there's a lot here not to like. And for that reason, he over-delivered. Sorry, he was overhyped. And ended up, for a lot of fans, not everybody, but for a lot of fans, he's certainly under-delivered. And for that reason, Siege Astrotrain takes the number 3 slot. At number 2, we're sticking with Titans and, oh, the Ark. Overhyped, under-delivered. I kind of get it. I don't know. I find the tolerances okay on this guy. Like, there are bits up here during transformation that like to pop off. In the ship mode, it doesn't hold together the best. The hands aren't really articulated. We're missing a thruster back here. Though if you want a thruster, I would say get in contact with HTB Toys because they have a product here for a 5th thruster. It's okay. I like mainframe, but like other Titans before this one you were able to interact with. They had a base mode. You could put bots around them. You could do things. But this you couldn't really do anything with. It came with the itty bitty Optimus Prime. And mainframe is cool, but like once this is opened up, it's not like it's like an arc bridge that you could put a bunch of bots in. Yes, there's an arc bridge, but it doesn't really fit anything. This is one of those examples of something that's a ship that when they did it as a Titan, my reaction was, why are you doing that as a Titan? It's not a base, it's not a city, it's a ship, it's not a Titan. The only reason that I wanted this wasn't even for the Ark. I didn't want the Ark, which is why I didn't get the Nemesis. I wanted it because I wanted a version of the last Autobot, which the robot mode does homage. I get it. It's not the right shade of yellow. It's not all the color apps that we had when this guy was first announced. We all thought that these little turrets were going to move. They don't move. There were a lot of features that people assumed and people understood, and seeing the product images, people loved the yellow, and then you got this that felt a little washed out and a little less than, and I think a lot of people felt a little bit betrayed. And for that reason, the Ark, with its open sides here, takes the number 2 slot. And now here we are, very tippy top number 1. And number 1 by far took the most number of votes. In fact, even after voting closed, votes still kept rolling in droves for this guy. HasLab Unicron. If you got it and you somehow justified to yourself spending $600 US, in some countries as high as $1,100 in their dollars, or $1,200 or $1,300, if you spent, $500 to $1,000 on a shell former and you somehow justify to yourself and you say the molding is there and stuff, great. But those that said he was overhyped and underdelivered said, look, he was way overpriced. I completely agree. He was way overpriced. Other than front on, from the side and from the back, he looks absolutely ugly because it's just a shell that's all folded up. The back is inaccurate to the animation. The legs are inaccurate to the animation. The asymmetry on the chest is inaccurate to the animation. Colors were changed in the final copy from what we saw. Both in the maw and the lower teeth were left unpainted. A lot of people said, yeah, he's a great display piece. He looks wonderful, but he's a bear and a beast to handle. A lot of people said, I bought him, I got him, and when the box came, I realized then and only then that I have no space to put this thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. There were a lot of things that a lot of people had gripes with, and the voters that voted for him didn't unanimously vote for one issue. They kept pulling out different issues that led to him being somebody that was released, that was overhyped, overpriced, and for a lot of them, again, not everyone, because some people are real happy with this guy, but for a lot of voters, for a wide margin, wide majority, a lot of voters felt like he way under-delivered, and that's why he took the number 1 slot. And there you go, we've gone from 10 down to 1 once again, and there's a lot of interesting ones on there. I mean, that surprised me. The Ark, Deathsaurus. I'm not surprised by HasLab Unicron. I gotta be honest with you, I'm sorry. If you love it, you love it, but I don't understand it. The Studio Series Devastator sort of surprised me, right? Other ones that had votes. Some I agree with, some I don't. Earthrise Optimus Prime, MP Hound, largely because of some breakage issues on him. Kingdom Rodimus Prime because he looks too old. Although I actually like that. It's the only version of Rodimus Prime I've ever liked. 86 Hot Rod, that I get. Titans Return Hot Rod, MP Skyfire. The 07 film, Rise of the Beast. I didn't even think of films, but I did think of, releases, and when people interpreted it that way, who am I to argue with it, right? Power of the Primes Volcanicus, MP Ironhide, Rise of the Beast Rhinox, Combiner Wars Devastator, Legacy Override, Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. I get that because it didn't have the robot modes. G1 Ratbat. That was a weird one. G1 Ratchet. Gamer Edition Optimus Prime, which surprised me because that one's really been touted as a positive thing. NPM Bumblebee, Legacy Armada Megatron, 2010 Battle Blade Bumblebee, The Rise of the Darkspark video game. See, even video game releases got included here. Legacy Breakdown, Dark of the Moon, what is that? Oh, Dark of the Moon Ultimate Optimus Prime, Gamer Megatron, Shattered Glass Megatron, Point Blank, MP4, Gamer Bumblebee, Legacy Menasor, 86 Ultra Magnus? That one surprised me. Power of the Primes, Optimus Primal, the part that attaches to the Optimal Optimus. They said, why wasn't that a monkey? Them and so many more. Man, oh man, a lot of overhype, a lot of under-delivering. Thank you for coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring. Or, of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, please hit the subscribe button, man. Stick around. Have some fun with us here on the channel. And don't forget for a moment that somehow, someway, each and every single day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.